Hi everybody, it's James Clary, the restaurant guru, bringing you another segment in the Restaurant Secrets to Success series. Are you ready? Me too. Let's do it. Hi everybody, it's James Clary, the restaurant guru, coming at you from the Queen City of the Ozarks. And I want to address a question today from one of my listeners who asked, how do I go about getting a job as a server in a restaurant? Well, I'll address that in a minute, but first I want to talk a little bit about why you would want to work as a server in a restaurant. Well, as I know and everybody in the country knows, the economy is really tough right now. People are hurting. As a matter of fact, the latest job figures that have come out from the U.S. Department of Labor have shown that there's been tremendous job growth. But what they don't tell you is that most of those jobs are part-time jobs. That means that people are taking an extra job just to feed their family. Well, the service industry, particularly the restaurant business and the hospitality industry, are one of the largest players in these part-time jobs. So if you are looking for additional income because you've either lost your job and got a lower paying job, or you aren't making as much as you used to, for whatever the reason, the restaurant business is a great place to go. Let's say if you want to work, anywhere between 10 and 30 hours a week as a part-time worker. And servers in any restaurant typically make the most money. Why? Well, it's tips. And I'll tell you, I do extensive training with servers and teach them how to be professional servers and how to make the most money. But for the purpose of this video, we're going to talk specifically about how you go about getting a job in a restaurant, because it really can be a wonderful way to make extra money for your family. The first thing you're going to have to do is decide, what type of restaurant do I want to work in? Some people are more suited to, let's say, fast food or fast casual dining. And when I say fast casual, I really mean what they call the QSR, quick service restaurants, or like Applebee's or Chili's, any of the chain restaurants, more fast casual. Or you might be more suited to fine dining. Fine dining restaurants require more knowledge, which we'll talk more about here in a second. So decide what type of restaurant you think would be your best fit. And let me say also at the outset, certain people are not cut out for the restaurant business. If you are a person who is specifically looking to get into this just to make money, that's your only motivation, you might want to reconsider. You have to actually enjoy the act of serving others, of making people happy. Are you a people pleaser? Are you one of those people that say when your spouse gets sick, you want to take care of them? Are you a caretaker? Those people tend to make the best kind of server because they have that natural innate ability to empathize with other people and fulfill their needs. You have to be a take care of others kind of person. And remember, you kind of have to put your ego on check when you're waiting tables, because you're a server. Now think about the root of that word is servant. If you have a problem being someone's servant for, let's say, an 8-hour shift, then you might want to consider other employment. You really have to put your ego in check, because you're going to deal with all kinds of people as a server. You're going to deal with cranky people. You're going to deal with people that are just plain rude. You have to be able to handle all of that and let rude comments and cranky customers, you have to just let that roll off you without any anger or rancor. So I want you to really consider before you even go to an interview, figure out if you're that kind of person. Okay, well, let's say you've decided that you're a people pleaser and you like to take care of people, so you want to get a job as a server in a restaurant. So you figure out, as I mentioned, what kind of restaurant you want to work in, whether it's fast casual, fast food, or fine dining, or something in between. Map out the restaurants in your area that might be a fit for you. I would also urge you to actually go to these restaurants before you even apply or even call to see if they're taking applications. Go to the restaurants. Make sure, first of all, that they're busy. You want to work in a busy restaurant. Busy restaurants make more tips. Okay? You're also going to have job stability. Now, granted, the chains tend to be a little bit more stable because they've got millions of dollars in corporate backing behind them. An individual chain could be losing money, and that chain will still stay open for years. This is not true of an independent operator. And, there's pros and cons of working at a chain versus an independent. I would say some of the pros of working at a chain, I've already mentioned job stability. They're usually pretty busy. Some of the cons are there's really not much level of creativity at these places. They're kind of cookie cutters. They have a certain way that they're going to do them. They tend to attract, not all of them, but in my experience, they tend to attract managers who kind of get burnout. I mean, running a very high volume chain restaurant is really stressful, and you can either get a good manager or a bad manager. As far as independent restaurants, the same goes. There's good and there's bad. I would definitely visit the restaurant, get a feel for just the overall attitude of the staff. I mean, you can kind of tell if it's a cool place to work. If the staff are really friendly and fun, watch them, not when they're at your table, but watch them when they interact with others. Do you see any scowls or angry talk going on? That might be a clue that this is not a great place to work. If, on the other hand, you see the staff interacting and they're professional, but they're smiling, they look like they're having fun, that's the kind of place you want to go. It tends to tell me that the owner or manager has followed my number one principle in restaurants, which is hire for attitude, train for skill. And if they do that, they've created a culture where service is the natural result of having fun, caring, loving, kind people working there. That's the best kind of restaurant you want to work at, is a place that hires for attitude, trains for skill, because you're going to work around people that are like you, fun-loving, caring, kind. That's really important. All right, so let's say you've got 2 or 3 places picked out. They're busy restaurants, whether chain or independent. You like the feel of the place. You like the energy. Now you've got to get the interview. First of all, maybe while you're dining there, ask if they're taking applications. When a young person came to my restaurant and actually spent money to eat at my restaurant and then asked if I was hiring, I was much more apt to give them at least give them an application and possibly an interview, just for the fact that they spent money in my restaurant. So that's one strategy I think that will help you get the interview. Obviously, check the online, the Craigslist, any of the career placement places online, and see who's hiring. And you've got to be diligent about this, whether it's the newspaper and the online resources. You've got to check them every day. Turnover in restaurants is usually fairly high. So although a restaurant may not have something today, very likely in the ensuing weeks they will have something open up. So once you get the interview with the restaurant, and let me back up, be persistent. Okay, if you call a place that says they're hiring and you come fill in an application, they say, we'll call you back. That's a standard line, we'll call you back. Call them back. Don't be rude about it. Don't be pushy. Get the manager's name, get his number if possible, and say, can I please follow up with you so I can schedule an interview? Most managers, more than likely, if you're kind, not pushy, they'll give you the opportunity to sit down and talk with them. All right, well, let's say that you have no experience, and this can be a downside, but not necessarily. Let's say you've scheduled the interview. The first thing they're going to look for is personality, because personality is what makes a great server. You can't be this kind of person. Hi, how are you? I mean, when you walk in that interview, you need to walk in with confidence and a smile, a natural smile. See, this is natural. This is unnatural. You do that, you're toast, buddy. Forget it. Out of here. See ya. So you walk in with a natural smile, confidence, offer your hand, introduce yourself, say, I'm pleased to meet you. All these rules of etiquette that hopefully, if your parents trained you right, you already know this stuff. Unfortunately, a lot of young people I meet, they haven't even been taught to extend their hand for a handshake and to introduce themselves. These are the basic rules of etiquette that you have to have if you're going to even be considered to work in a restaurant. All right, so you've got the interview. You've smiled, you've shaken hands, you've introduced yourself. What next? Well, be confident in the interview about yourself. Make sure and stress that you love taking care of people. Make sure and stress that high volume, busy situations don't bother you. They're looking for people that can handle stress. The restaurant business is a stressful business. Studies have actually shown that cops, psychiatrists, and servers are like 3 of the most high-stress jobs. And I can tell you, when it's Friday night, you got a 5-table station, and the restaurant is rocking, it's stressful. But there are things you can learn to lessen the stress. As a matter of fact, you might check out one of my videos called Make Your Trips Count, which is the #1 thing to being an efficient server. So if you don't have any experience, just exude the idea, as I mentioned, that you're caring and that you work well with others. You know, they're looking for fun-loving and caring people. It's really important when you go to this interview that you look your best. You need to be wearing your best clothes. If you're a gentleman, you need to be wearing a coat and tie. I would recommend that. I know that's kind of out there, but if you have a coat and tie, do it. It does make an impression. If you're a lady, wear a dress. Look your best. Have your hair neat, tied, makeup on, whatever it is that makes you look good. You have to look good because that's the image you're going to present when you go to the interview. Remember, the restaurant business is like theater, and a manager is looking at you as one of the actors in the play. Savvy? The other thing they're going to be looking for is experience. Now, if you don't have any experience as a server, you may have to take an entry-level position, such as a bus person, and I would say be willing to do that. Look, a superstar bus person who works their tail off, looks great, and is fun and is a team player, that person will get moved up to server fast. But there are ways that you can sidestep the fact that you don't have experience. You're going to have to do some study. Anything in life requires some work. You're going to have to learn about cocktails. You're going to have to learn about beer. You're going to have to learn about wine. That's the beverage end. And then you need to learn about food. If you can show in this interview that you have a good knowledge, at least of the type of food that the restaurant you're interviewing at serves, and that you have a decent knowledge of the types of beers they serve, what basic cocktails are. If you can get a copy of their wine list ahead of time and tell the manager in the interview, yeah, I've reviewed your wine list, I have a good grasp of the wines on your list, even some basic knowledge, that will make you that much better candidate for the job. If I had someone interviewing for a server position with no experience, yet they knew the food on my menu, they had good bar knowledge, I'd be much more likely to hire them with no experience. I knew I could train the rough edges out of them. So you've done the interview. You think you've done pretty well. Like I mentioned, be willing to start at an entry-level position if you have to. Make sure that you follow up after the interview. When you're wrapping up the interview, ask if you can get the manager's business card. If not, ask, hey, could I get your phone number? Could I call you to follow up? You know, restaurant people are really busy, and when they're hiring, they tend to maybe work on hiring for 20 minutes, and they're getting pulled a million different directions. Sometimes just by calling, you can kind of bring them back to you and say, oh, yeah, I remember this girl, and she's following up with a phone call. That's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. It shows that you have perseverance and that you're dedicated and that you really want this job. I hope this short video has helped you find a career in the restaurant business. And if you need more help, please visit my website at therestaurantguru.net. I have all kinds of information there for you that will help you be a professional in the restaurant business. I'm James Clary, the Restaurant Guru. See ya. Thanks for listening. Visit me at therestaurantguru.net for more information on how you can become successful in the most difficult business in the world, the restaurant business.